Well, what's up, Internet? My name is Warren Freeman Jr. I'm an admin over on the Yes Wrestling Facebook group, and this is episode 5 of Warren's vlog. The title of this episode is King of the Ring 2001. I'm going to start every few weeks or so. I'm going to watch an old WWF pay-per-view, and I'm going to rate it much like I did Fastlane. If anyone caught Fastlane, it's basically the same thing as a rating system, 0 to 5. If the match is below a 1, it's going to get a .2 or a .3. There shouldn't be matches like that on a pay-per-view anyway, but I digress. Let's get started. The reason why I chose King of the Ring 2001 is because, as you all know, Shane McMahon returned last Monday night, and I was actually there in Detroit, and I marked heavy. I mean, I was just ecstatic to see Shane McMahon. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a huge Shane McMahon mark. And it was doubly special for me because I'd never seen Vince McMahon live. So I got to see Vince live, and then Shane McMahon returning was just awesome. It was an awesome experience. So I started thinking, well, I've been thinking I kind of wanted to do old WWF pay-per-view reviews, and I thought, well, since Shane McMahon came back last week, let me do a pay-per-view that Shane McMahon had a featured match on. And I thought, well, let me do King of the Ring 2001. Alright, so we're going to get right into the event here. This was held at the, got my notes right here. Excuse me. See, this was held at the Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. Right in the shadow of New York. I believe they were in Madison Square Garden the next night for Raw. There were 3 featured things for this pay-per-view, but there were 2 featured matches. And the 2 featured matches was the one I just mentioned, Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle. I didn't mention it yet, actually, but it was Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle in a street fight. And the triple threat match with the WWF champion Stone Cold Steve Austin defending the title in a triple threat against Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. Now, the third featured match, if you want to call it that, was Undertaker and DDP, but it wasn't really billed as a match. It was really billed as a fight without a referee in front of 18,000 people. I don't know. So the pay-per-view kicks off with DDP's entrance music playing. And like he has the entrance video gimmick on the Titantron and the music. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to come out from the rampway. But no, he comes out through the crowd. I'm thinking, how realistic is this? Like, who comes out in a crowd and gets music? I go to WWE events all the time, and I come out to the crowd, and I don't get no damn music. The guy doesn't work for the company. He's supposed to be an outsider, and he gets music. I didn't like that. The promo was whatever. Yeah, I've got X-rated videos of your wife, and I'm going to be at ringside and make me famous. So, okay, he goes and sits down, and now we get to what I really want to talk about. Is the actual matches, because that's what a pay-per-view is for. It's not for promos or for segments. It's for matches, damn it. So, let's get right to the match. We have Kurt Angle versus Christian. Well, before I jump into that, obviously this is the King of the Ring. The final 4 in the King of the Ring, all best friends. Kurt Angle, Christian, Edge, and Rhino. It was magnificent. It writes itself. You got 4 best friends, all fighting for the prestigious title of King of the Ring, because that meant, well, nothing. It didn't really mean anything. It was kind of just like, oh, you're King of the Ring? Well, cool. That's cool. Go make me a sandwich. It really didn't. It was like one of those accolades of like, yeah, I won King of the Ring. It didn't really mean anything until the next year, 2002, where Brock Lesnar won, and it actually meant something, because he got to go to SummerSlam to face the WWE champion, but I digress. Anyway, 4 best friends fight for the King of the Ring title. It writes itself. So we have the first semifinal match with Kurt Angle versus Christian. You're not going to get a bad Kurt Angle match. It's like impossible to have a bad Kurt Angle match. I've never seen one. That being said, it wasn't anything special either. It was a decent opening match. I gave it a 3.0. Shane McMahon interfered and actually helped Kurt Angle win. Now, we wouldn't find out later on that the reason why Shane did that is so Angle would advance to the finals, and he'd have to wrestle yet another match before wrestling Shane McMahon in the street fight. So I gave that a 3. It was an innovative finish that I really liked. Christian was standing on the apron. after being distracted by Shane McMahon. I think Shane pulled Christian out of the ring, and Christian was standing on the apron like, "What's up, bro? Like, why'd you do that?" Then Angle actually gave him an Olympic slam, or an Angle slam, while Christian was standing on the apron of the ring. So he brought Christian in from the outside of the ring to the inside of the ring with an Angle slam. I thought that was very innovative and a pretty cool way to end the match. So Kurt Angle over Christian with the Olympic slam. Then we go to Edge versus Rhino. Again, it writes itself. It writes itself. And I actually scored this higher than Kurt Angle and Christian because I enjoyed this match more. More so for Rhino because he is so agile. Everything that man does, he's so agile. He actually hit a frog splash. He hit a frog splash off the top rope. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And that frog splash alone, just Rhino's work alone, bumped this match up. Because it was originally a 3, like Kurt Angle and Christian. But I gave it a 3.2 just for Rhino's agility in this match and Rhino's performance. And the whole spear versus Gore thing was awesome. You had to know they were both going to go for their moves at the end, towards the end of the match. So they clunked heads. It was awesome. But the irony, though, is that it didn't end with a spear or a Gore. It ended with Edge's Impaler DDT. I just thought that was kind of funny. So that was a 3.2. So we're moving along right here. We got the Dudley Boyz defending their newly won tag titles. They won their tag titles on the SmackDown prior from Benoit and Jericho, thanks to help with thanks from assistance from Austin. But that, of course, that's going to play into the main event. So the Dudleys defending their tag titles against Spike and an unnamed partner. Come to find out, that partner would be Kane. And it was a standard tag match. Spike Dudley obviously is the smaller of his team, so he's going to take the heat. And he took the heat and got his ass whooped. Kane. Then he tagged in Kane with the hot tag. Kane did some shit. And then Spike ended up getting pinned with a 3D. But they kind of sent the fans home, or sent the fans away from that match happy because Bubba Ray ate a table via chokeslam by Kane. So that was a 2.7. It wasn't anything special. It was just a standard tag match where, the face team, the smaller guy of the face team takes the heat. Nothing we haven't seen before. Now we go to the King of the Ring finals, Kurt Angle versus Edge. And I scored this match lower than I did the other two semifinal matches. I gave this a 2.9. It has some innovative spots. The belly to belly on Edge, where he suplexed him to the outside of the ring, looked disgusting. It was awesome. I also scored this lower because it was like a botched counter. It was like Edge countered the ankle lock, but then kind of got lost, and then Angle kind of just threw him in the ankle lock. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication there, or something like that. This was a tad bit overbooked as well. That's why I got the lower rating. Christian came out for no reason. Well, Christian distracted the referee. He was just kind of out there. He didn't really do anything. And then, of course, Shane McMahon came out and speared Kurt Angle. That's Edge's move. But he speared Kurt Angle. But I guess this was around the time that Edge was trying to get that Impaler DDT over as a finish. So he hit Angle with the Impaler DDT, and Edge won King of the Ring. So that got a 2.9. Also, this match was very vital because this planted the seed for Christian's eventual heel turn later on in the year. So this match was pivotal. No, I screwed that up. But this match was vital for that, if anything. Then we go to Jeff Hardy versus XPac for the light heavyweight title. This was back when the light heavyweight title was a thing, I guess. I gave this a 3.1. I'm a huge Jeff Hardy fan, and this match was fast-paced, quick. Didn't slow down at all. It did what it needed to do. Not that this has anything to do with the match directly, but the X-Pac heat that, legend, that shit's real, man. Jeff Hardy came out and got his normal rock star response that the Hardys get. And then, you're dealing with the XFactor. Whatever. Anyway, dead silence. I mean, you could hear the song clearly. Nobody booed, nobody cheered. It was just like, man, it was brutal. That being said, X-Pac put on a hell of a performance. There was one botch in the match, though. I think X-Pac was going for a leapfrog, and Jeff Hardy was supposed to go underneath him, and Jeff Hardy kind of just headbutted him in the ass. Other than that, there was a nice counter of the XFactor where, and I've never seen this before, Jeff Hardy actually hit a jawbreaker to counter X-Pac's XFactor. I thought that was kind of cool and innovative. And then, of course, the finish with the Swanton. Jeff over with the Swanton. That was a 3.1. Looking back at it, I may have scored that a little bit higher, but I really enjoy X-Pac and Jeff Hardy's work. And I really enjoy the fact that the match was as fast-paced as it was, as it should have been, because you got two smaller guys wrestling. Now, next is the DDP beatdown, and I'm not even going to rate this because it wasn't a match. And it just was DDP getting his ass kicked, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it did nothing. It didn't establish anything. It just made DDP look like an idiot. And, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I guess I'll give you a little bit of a backstory about it. In the weeks prior to this event, there was a guy that disguised his voice and was stalking the Undertaker's wife with a video camera. And here's the thing. Now, I want to point this out. I don't want to digress too much, but this really bothers me. It does. And not just because they buried DDP. That's an issue, but that's not even the main issue that I have a problem with personally. It's like, anybody that knows DDP knows who he was married to. He was married to arguably one of the hottest women in the world, in Kimberly Page. And I'm not saying the Undertaker's wife is ugly, but Kimberly Page, Undertaker's wife, I mean, I can't do the whole seesaw thing because I'm holding my phone. But still, I mean, you're going to go after... It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you stalk the Undertaker's wife when you have a hot-ass wife at home? It just didn't make sense. And it made DDP look like a fool. And I'm done with that. We're going to move on. Now, the match that I really want to talk about, and I'm going to try not to mark out for it while I'm talking about it, but I'm going to mark out anyway because it was an awesome fucking match. Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon in a street fight. I'm not going to mark out to the point of giving this match a 5 out of 5 because I don't give out 5s. I very rarely give out 5s. And the last 5 I gave out, and this wasn't even when I was doing this on video, it was Triple H and Undertaker from WrestleMania 28 in the Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as the referee. I gave that match a 5 because of the story that those three men told. Could not have been told any better. And that's like the only 5 that I've ever given, ever. So, but I did give this a 4.5. And, you know, this is like probably the 100th time I've watched this match. It does come with some flaws. It was, I gotta say, it was borderline excessively violent. And not excessively violent to the point of it being offensive, but just excessively violent just to the point of, like, there's no point to it. It was just a tad bit too much. Like, it was unnecessary. Like, the whole glass break thing. Visually, it was kind of cool, but it was kind of dangerous, too. Like, thank God that Shane wasn't really hurt. Kurt Angle actually broke his tailbone in that match. That was fun. Also, this is a street fight where pinfalls count in the ring. So then why would you fight on the stage for damn near half the match? I don't know. But then I negate that with my next note because I said, well, Kurt Angle took an anvil case and he wheeled Shane McMahon back to the ring. I'm like, that's genius. Even Paul Heyman marked out on commentary for that. It was awesome. So the match ended with a fantastic angle slam from the top rope. He had like a wooden platform, and he grabbed Shane McMahon, and he gave him an angle slam off the top rope. It was awesome. 4.5. Best match of the night. It is not even close. One thing I forgot to talk about. I'm skipping my notes here. I didn't like the whole amateur wrestling spot that Kurt Angle did when he got on all fours and he challenged Shane McMahon to like freestyle wrestling. It doesn't fit in a street fight. It was just so out of place. And everything else in that match, with the exception of that and the excessive violence, could have gone. I could have done without that, and I probably would have scored the match higher than a 4.5. It would have been a 5, but it would have been maybe like a 4.7 or 4.8 or something like that. Also, I want to talk about the pay-per-view match placement. Like, you brought the fans on such a high with Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle that it just was not going to get better than that. And no disrespect to Benoit, Jericho, or Austin. Just Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle, no one was going to top that. No one. And I'm not saying by any means that should have been the main event, because I am a firm believer that your main title should be the main event. Always. And there's very rare exceptions to that rule. And the same thing, and I experienced this live this past Monday on Raw. They did the Shane McMahon segment first, and after that, the crowd was dead. I mean, it picked up a little bit with the New Day, and it picked up at the end with the Roman Reigns beatdown. But other than that, I was physically exhausted after the Shane McMahon segment, because I knew that I even contemplated leaving. I did. I'm like, fuck it. I'm about to go home because I know that this show is not going to get any better. There's just no way. And, I mean, obviously I stayed, but still. Same thing with this King of the Ring pay-per-view. It's like they put the triple threat on right after the street fight. So the problem is the fans had no way to calm down from Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon. So you're going straight from that to the street fight. And the crowd was exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. I mean, Jericho and Benoit and Austin did very good work for what they were given. I gave that a 3.5. I questioned the crossface Walls Jericho spot where Austin tapped out. And the referee was like, well, shit. No. I mean, it doesn't count. Like, Austin tapped out, though. Like, I question that decision, because I've seen other triple threat matches where, now obviously this was 3 years later, but you know, Triple H, Benoit's involved again. How about that? Benoit and Edge, where it was like a crossface on Edge and Edge pinned him, and it was a double tap out and double pin, and Triple H actually lost the title. But I think that is just creative, or Vince McMahon or whoever writes this shit just writes the rules and bends the rules based on the current storyline. And they just make the rules as they go along. So, this was also the match where unfortunately Benoit hurt his neck. I'm not sure where the injury happened. I don't know whether it was the superplex. It could have been anything. It could have been the stunner. It could have been anything. But Benoit was actually out for almost a year after this match. Also, this was the debut of Booker T, sucker, the WCW champion. He jumped the rail, and he gave Austin this weird back suplex sidewalk slam. I guess it was a sidewalk slam to the announce table, and Austin kind of took a nap, and Benoit and Jericho worked, and it was awesome. And then Austin came back, and this was the main problem that I had with this match, was the ending. It made no sense at all. Okay, so Benoit gives Jericho a back suplex off the top rope, right? So it's Benoit doing an offensive maneuver on Jericho, and then Austin pins Benoit. Like, it just didn't make, I don't know. Like, how do you do a move to a guy and then you're too exhausted to kick out? I don't know. It was just weird to me. But yeah, that was a 3.5. So let me review and give you the average. Show opener, Christian Kurt Angle. Angle over with the Olympic Slam. 3.0, 3. That was a 3. Edge and Rhino. Edge over with the Impaler. That was a 3.2. And then we go to Dudley's and Spike. Bubble Ray and Devon over. I forget who pinned Spike, but it was via 3D. That was a 2.7. Kurt Angle versus Edge King of the Ring Finals. That was a 2.9. Edge over with the Impaler. Jeff Hardy versus XPac. Jeff over with the Swanton. 3.1. Edge was 2.9. The DDP beatdown. I didn't rate it. Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon. Angle over with the Olympic Slam. That was a 4.5. Now, I also want to point out, too, Kurt Angle is a bad ass. Okay, he wrestled 3 matches, and now these were the times that I got from Wikipedia, so I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I added up the times on Wikipedia for all his matches. This mofo wrestled 44 minutes and 38 seconds combined. So, you figure a 3.5 pay-per-view, this mofo wrestled a damn near third of the pay-per-view. Like, Kurt Angle is a beast. Alright? Just hats off to that guy to do that. I gave Benoit Jericho in Austin a 3.5, but I think the reason why I gave it a 3.5 is the placement of the match hurt it. It hurt the rating. I probably would have scored that higher. I don't know if it would have been higher than Kurt and Shane, but the placement of that match hurt the rating. And it's unfortunate. If I was booking this, I would have either added like a Divas match. Well, yeah, the women's title was kind of gone at this point. But I would have either put X-Pac and Jeff Hardy between the street fight and the triple threat, or I would have put some sort of Divas match, like a bra and panties, or something in between here, or like a something to separate these two, because the placement of the match killed it. So we got a 3.5. When you average everything out together, it comes out to a 3.2 overall rating. So, pretty good show. If you ever get a chance, if you got the network, go check it out. Go watch it. It's a pretty good show. I think you'll have a good time with it. Yeah, I promised you guys that I would deliver. I would tell you guys my Twitter, and my Instagram, and my Facebook in this video, so you can contact me. Twitter, @BlackReaction. Instagram, capital WEF1989. Facebook, search my full name, Warren E. Freeman Jr. I take requests now. So if there's a pay-per-view that you want me to do or review, let me know, and I will watch it. I will rewatch it if necessary, and I will give you a fair analysis, people. I mainly stick with WWF, though. If I get enough requests for WCW or ECW, then I'll go back and research and watch it, and I'll review it for you. As far as my wrestling knowledge, as far as WWF, it goes basically starting with 1997, the Montreal Screwjob on. That's pretty much as far back as I can go. But if you want to do a show from 96, 95, 92, I'll research it, I'll watch it, and I'll review it. But, yeah, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, get at me. I just gave you all that again. I'll give it to you again. Twitter, @BlackReaction. Instagram, WEF1989. Facebook, search my full name. You can add my personal page. You can find me on Yes Wrestling on Facebook.com. That's a wrestling group. You can find me there. I'm an admin. Get at me with your request, and just get at me if you just want to pick my brain for wrestling knowledge. I am Warren E. Freeman Jr. This has been my review of King of the Ring 2001. This has been episode 5 of Warren's vlog. You guys have a wonderful evening. Good night.